My project is named Deconstructing Police Brutality by me, Shalia Carter. This is my refined concept map. I did have a beginning concept map, but this is how it's changed over time. So specifically, the first three right here changed. So business need for this project is reformation in policing, which is the need, and also it surrounds methods that could lessen police fatal force specifically for African Americans. And so what changed involving this was that I added the specific methods that could possibly lessen fatal force for African Americans. And the methods are listed, which is diversity training, de-escalation, policy reform, and / or a combination of both. For the intended outcome, this changed only slightly. So for the intended outcome, it will be an evaluation of what methods decreased fatal force. And so there is a specification. Fatal force consists of use of force or police shootings. And also the data collected, the intended outcome is for it to help differing states know the type of method that needs to be implemented to help improve police fatal force usage. These three down here following the mouse have also changed slightly, but I specifically want to focus on the data and associated requirements. So the data had to be collected by me from different sources that will be listed in my paper. So I used 20 different states, and I compared the number of fatal force used by police, and I focused on the year of 2020. For these 20 different states, I checked to see if they had one of the lessening methods of fatal force against African Americans. So I checked to see if they had the diversity training or de-escalation training or some type of policy reform required for that specific state. And I will go more into how the data was collected as well. Okay, so data collection. So just as I previously explained, I focused on 20 different states. And then I also used the method of OLS regression. So if the state, for example, if the state had diversity training, I would put 1. If the state didn't have diversity training, I would put 0. If the state had de-escalation training, I would put 1. If the state didn't have de-escalation training, I would put 0. So that is an example of how I used OLS regression as we were taught in the 6510 data intelligence class. And in addition, I also use a specific source that mapped police fatal force violence. And I also listed those numbers for each state and compared to see if there was a less number percentage for the states that had diversity, de-escalation, or policy reform. Okay, so to go deeper also, the goal is to, in the methodology that's connected to what I previously said, is to see what type of intervention can lessen the fatal force killings by police for African Americans. And the fatal force killings for this project consists of use of force and specifically police shootings, as police brutality is a very broad subject. So to make it specific, it's specifically surrounding use of force and police shootings. Okay. Some alternative approaches that I could have used in this in this project is comprehensive literature review approach. So because of this project, there was a lot of ground up building from the data, which I also talked to the professor about. So because of that, sometimes in the research field, you can just go to a whole literature review to see what everybody else has found thus far and basically combine the solutions found to see what should be the end solution that would help the nation as a whole. However, for this specific class, just doing a literature review wouldn't be completely enough to show that you truly understood the content within. Another one was community relations approach. However, I strayed away from this approach because it was difficult to find data on community relations by state. You would have to go into a more narrow approach of just specific neighborhoods. Okay, and so this BI solution matters tremendously. This BI solution, it was something that stemmed in me. I wanted to research stemming back in 2020 of the killing of George Floyd. And so I wanted to use, and so from that, like coming into this class, I wanted to find some type of solution for police brutality for African Americans so that we can go to a better tomorrow, not a same tomorrow of us dealing with the same problems we've been dealing with for generations. And that's as a nation, not just a specific people. And the methodology and data I intend to use would be the ones that I already previously described, but then also just to give more an in-depth analysis of how I collected the data. So I sorted the data. I first sorted the data in an Excel spreadsheet. And so I made different columns, labeled them, and inserted the data as I previously explained.